welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a review and I will give you guys a recommendation on one of my more recent obsessions and things I love, which is a sitcom called The Good Place. To give you guys a summary, The Good Place is, I believe, a show that came out in 2016 that was made by the infamous Michael Schur. If you guys are into comedy, I totally recommend this story. Michael Schur, if you guys are familiar with him, he co-created the American version of The Office. He's made Parks and Recreation. Also one of my favorites. He also created Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So yeah, he is definitely one of my comedic hero geniuses, people type of person. Oh yeah, so that's also a good start. You can always trust a good story if it's made by Michael Schur. That's what I'm gonna tell you. So basically, to give you guys a summary, what The Good Place is, it kind of plays around with the idea of heaven and hell, okay, and what being a good person actually means. Okay, so it starts off. We have a few central characters. There's Eleanor, Michael, Janet, Chidi, Jason, and Tahani. Those are the main cast. Starts off by Eleanor, which is our main character, played by Kristen Bell. Okay, so Eleanor enters the good place, or heaven, okay? And she wakes up and she's like, where am I? And Michael's like, you're dead and you got into the good place. So she's like, oh, cool, she got into heaven. And then Michael kind of walks her through the whole neighborhood, and she has a house and she has a soulmate. And but then everything goes really wrong when her soulmate Chidi and her talk about, like, oh, how did they get into the good place? And then she realizes that she doesn't belong there. She was a bad person when she was on Earth. Okay, before she died, she was a bad person, so she doesn't belong in the good place. Okay, so Chidi, who is her soulmate, he's a ethics professor. So he has this very bad habit of indecisiveness. So he's instantly faced with this problem where he needs to decide if he wants to help Eleanor or not, because, well, he's basically helping her to do bad things, which is lie to everyone in that neighborhood to keep her in the good place, and that's against his, I guess, principles or like moral compass, right? But he still does it anyway. And then somehow a lot of stuff happens because of Eleanor, okay? Because she does some things and then the next day something would happen. Like, her actions have consequences in this story, basically. But then something big happens at the end of season 1, so I urge you guys to watch it. There's a gigantic plot twist at the end of season 1 that you will not see coming, definitely. And then, okay, so what I like about this story is that I'm a bit biased, to be honest, because it's made by Michael Schur, because he's made such great stories. And I think personally, as a person who loves stories, I think he understands how to make a good story, because I've always said this, but what makes a good story is it has to make you think. And what I mean by that is that think as in a deeper way. Like, you think about deeper things, meanings, because in this story, you basically, almost all the episodes kind of revolve around Chidi's ethics lessons, okay? And he teaches you about philosophy and morals and ethics and what's right and what's wrong. And you when you watch it, you kind of like think, what makes a good person? What does it take to become a good person, to be worthy enough to get into the good place or heaven, right? Because of course semua orang nak masuk syurga. Tak ada siapa nak masuk neraka kan? Tak, it's not logic. So, it kind of plays with that concept or that question of, what does being good mean? What is good? What is bad? What is your definition? You know what I mean? Because there's not really like a concrete definition of what, okay, this is good, this is bad. I mean, we have, like, as a society, we know, like, oh, doing this is good, doing this is bad. We have that kind of textbook version of it, if you know what I mean. But outside of that, there was one episode, I think in the final season, where they talk about they have this conversation about how the system is broken, and the system that they use to get people into the good place and the bad place is broken. Okay, and the team basically of these main characters goes to visit. There's a character called the judge, and they basically face the judge and talk about how can they, I guess, improve on the system, because they discovered that actually in about 500 years there hasn't been a single person who entered the good place. So there must be something really broken about the system that they're using. And they had a really interesting conversation where they said to the judge that, oh, we can't judge people based on this old system, because people are on constantly evolving, and the world, the universe is becoming more complicated than it ever was. Because and I instantly understood that scene, because they gave a really good example in that scene where they said, contoh lah, there was someone who bought a tomato at a store, right? And so orang beli tomato and orang tak fikir pasal consequence. They just think it's you're buying a tomato untuk makan kan. But that person doesn't realize that, oh, mungkin tomato tu datang orang yang kutip tu mungkin like pekerja yang tak dibayar cukup ke, they don't, or like if they're abused by their employer ke, or contohnya like employer pekerja tu mungkin ada gamble duit ke, main judi kan, kita tak tahu benda tu sebab kita hanya, we're just innocent bystanders that just want to buy something kan, but we don't know the consequences down the line, basically. And so like sama juga macam, and I thought about things like nowadays, like there's this culture where we kind of cancel each other out. Pretty much everyone knows what cancel culture is. It's like, for example, like, oh, if we see something or someone that's different from us, or who doesn't share the same values as we do, then we kind of isolate them from ourselves. Contohnya, like if someone doesn't support like LGBTQ rights, then you're like, oh, you're homophobic, or if you're not a vegan, then you eat meat, you're like you like abusing animals, like that sort of thing. But it's so much more than that. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not fair. Like in the story, like the Michael is the architect of the good place basically, and he's telling the judge, like, judge, we have to change the system, because the system is broken and humans are so complicated to the point that they have to use a new system untuk masukkan, nak betul-betul to evaluate, because sekarang ni dia lagi susah nak pick orang macam mana yang actually worthy untuk masuk good places, sebab kan yelah, as I said before, manusia sekarang dah sangat-sangat duduk dalam dunia yang sangat complicated. Banyak sangat masalah yang susah tau nak kita tak boleh nak evaluate masalah tu betul-betul. Jadi what they did, so they came up with like tests tau, ada banyak-banyak test ni. So bila you mati contohnya, you akan pergi ke tempat buat test lah, so you have to go through multiple tests until results to show either you go to the good place or the bad place. Tu je, dia ada ujian kat tengah tu. Macam anggaplah macam alam barzah ke, macam tu lah kan, dalam version kita lah. Tapi dalam cerita tu macam tu lah, lain kan, fiction. Tapi itulah what even though it's just a sitcom, but to me it means so much more. I guess maybe because I get so like emotionally attached to something, or like to a show, because I know, like I know at its core it's just a sitcom, it's just a comedy and it's fiction, but it made me so sad at the end of the last season 4. There was this one scene that made me cry so hard. I was literally like sobbing at the end of it. And it's a comedy show about dead people going to heaven or hell. I know it sounds ridiculous, but but the thing is, what made it such a good story, and was because after it ended, I had to like take a break kejap, and then I had to I couldn't sleep at night thinking about the story, because so many things because it toys around with the idea of mortality, macam hidup mati tau. It's such an amazing thing to think about. Like, are you actually worthy of going to heaven? Are you a good person? What do you think is good? Kan, it's such a good question that it just like it made my brain just like I until today I'm still thinking about it. The same things. I keep repeating it to myself like, what is it? What is it? What is it? And because like I think when we live on this earth we always think about why. Why were we chosen to be on this earth? Why were we created? Why what is the purpose of us living when last kita akan mati juga? Kan? Faham tak? Macam there is something but we don't quite know what it is yet. It's mystery kan. Rahsia Tuhan lah orang cakap kan. But that's like the beauty of it, you know? It's a mystery. We don't know what it is. I advise you guys to watch this show because it is so good. I think it's easier if you have Netflix because it's already on Netflix. Although it only has on Netflix. It only has 3 seasons. So as I said before, it has 4 seasons actually. So if you want to watch the 4th season, you kena cari sendirilah on whatever website yang ada these things. So yeah, I think that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Bye.